And I'll turn it over to Leanne Wetzel, Election Coordinator.
Hello, everyone. So we're here tonight to talk about financial statements for the municipal elections. So we do have a PowerPoint presentation that Jeff's going to start up for us. And it's just to basically look at Form 4, which is the financial statement review, and just maybe some things that we all need to be aware of in completing these forms. So we'll look at the agenda for the program here. Jeff will go to our slide. So introductions, Jeff's already identified who we are. We'll talk about the Municipal Elections Act, or the MEA, as we tend to refer to it as. Some key highlights from the Form 4 and important dates, and then we'll allow for any questions. So we'll jump right in and take a look at the Act. So Form 4 is contained within the MEA, and it very clearly states if there's no contributions or expenses, then you only need to fill out the first page of the form. But if your expenses or contributions exceeded $10,000, you will also require an auditor's report when filing your Form 4 statements. Now, I would suspect with the majority of the candidates in this election for Woolwich Township will be under that $10,000 limit, but just keep an eye on that. Your contribution limit was provided to you at the time of filing your financial statements, so just make sure you've got that figure to include on your Form 4. In the form, it talks about contributions. So just to be very clear about what a definition of a contribution is, it includes money, goods, and services, or a discount on goods or services. So the difference between what you paid and the market value is the contribution. So for example, if someone provided you a pamphlet, a printing of a pamphlet, and they gave you a discount on it, then you need to include that difference for what you paid and the market value. Contributions are not permitted from corporations, businesses, or unions, so they may not provide any contribution to your campaign. So if we see something on your financial statements that looks that way, we will be in touch with you to talk about that. Signs from your previous campaigns need to be accounted for. There is a current market value that needs to be considered as a contribution to your campaign. And I see there's a typo on this slide, Jeff, so I'll have to take care of that. So we'll have to make sure that you take a look at that if you're reusing signs from an earlier campaign, to make sure that you're giving it to the current market value when you're assigning that in your contributions. You go to the next slide. So then what's not considered a contribution would be volunteer labor. So if you had people going out knocking on doors, handing out pamphlets, that type of thing, that would be considered volunteer labor, provided you didn't pay them, of course. And then if you received any cash donations of $25 or less, the total amount needs to be reported, but not the individual donations of less than $25. The duties of the candidates are outlined in the Act. That's section 88.22. So you can take a look at that, and that talks about the record keeping and everything that you need to kind of think thought to, because it doesn't just end when you file your financial statements. You've got to keep those records through the term. And I think that's coming up on one of the next slides. So we can go to the next one. So some key highlights from the form. So fill it out in full, except for the box on the bottom of the first page. That'll be completed when you bring it in. And I believe, Jeff, you want appointments made to come in to file the Form 4s. And then Jeff and his staff will take a look and they'll fill out that box at the bottom of the first page. You do not need to submit your receipts when you file your financial statements, but you need to keep those and you need to have them available should there be an audit or a compliance audit of your campaign. If there is a surplus, you may refund the money contributed by yourself or your spouse to the campaign. Otherwise, if there is a surplus, that's coming back to the township. So expenses, they'll include audit and accounting fees. And I know we tend to run into a little bit of an issue sometimes with this, that you don't have those fees when you're trying to finalize the papers, but go to your accountant and get a best estimate for what the fee is going to be to include that in your final statement when you put it in. The replacement value of goods from previous elections. So again, looking at election signs, that would be considered an expense. Appreciation parties and events after the close of voting. Advertising, of course, that's probably one of the biggest expenses candidates spend. And I think we have a continuation on the next slide. And yeah, so now we'll talk about important dates. So your campaign period was the day that you filed your nomination papers here with Township, and then it ended January 3rd, 2023. Or if you filed your nomination papers prior to that date, it would have been that date as well. So there's a parameter there. They must be filed by 2 p.m. on March 31st, 2023. If you miss that deadline, you can file within 30 days, but then you need to pay a late filing fee to the township of $500. My suggestion would be, if you're having difficulty in getting the papers completed, be in touch with Jeff or Alex and let them know what's going on so that they can assist you and prepare for what may happen and how you get around how you work within that 30-day period. Because after that, then it's a hard deadline. If you do fail to submit the Form 4 financial statement, if you were elected, you will be forfeiting your office. And if not, then you're ineligible to run until after the 2026 municipal election. So they're fairly severe penalties, and that information is kept on file. You as a candidate are required to keep all of your financial records until November 15th of 2026. And that's within the act. And you just need to hang on to those records, just again, in case there is any kind of compliance audit. Once you file your Form 4 financial statements by the deadline, your nomination filing fee, which will be $100 if you were running for council or school board trustee, or $200 for mayor, will be refunded by the municipality. And again, Jeff will have control of all of that information. He'll do those refunds once the paperwork is filed to his satisfaction. And that, I think, is all until we get some questions.
So thanks so much, Leanne. I'm just going to jump on, and what I was going to do, if there aren't any questions from anyone in the audience, maybe what I'll do is do a quick FAQs in terms of the questions that I have been getting from candidates so far. So for that, I'm actually just going to share a copy of the financial statement.
Perfect.
And to do that, here we go. So just to bring this up, as Leanne said, just up on the statement, the first page, this is the date that you filed. You filed with me. And if you don't have that information, I have that information for you. So feel free to reach out to me. And this date is the date Leanne said is either, if you filed early, that date, or January 3rd, if you're filing now. For the most part, people are filing their initial filing. It's not a supplementary filing, so it's that first checkbox. You should be able to do the candidate's name, most of that stuff. The spending limit is the calculations that I gave you on Form W15, the Certificate of Maximum Campaign Expenses and Contributions. If you have misplaced that or you don't know where that is, I have a copy here, so I can help you with that when you come into file. So there's your general spending limit, your parties and other appreciations, which is 10% of that, and then your contribution limit, which is also on the form. And of course, as Leanne said, you can fill in this first box, but I'll take your signature and I'll fill in the bottom when you come to file. A lot of the rest of the form, you can see there's several fields and things like that. If you have specific questions about those fields, I'm happy to answer them for you. One of the things I like to point out to people, though, is what I'm looking for, and what most people have that I've seen, especially because we are fairly small, is the total campaign expenses and the contributions basically are equaling out. A lot of people are contributing to their own campaigns, or they have small donations from other people and kind of supplement that with their own income. And then a lot of these numbers in D1 and D2 basically end up being zero. And then if you just keep going down the form. A lot of it's kind of a balancing act. You do want it to balance at the end. And as Leanne said, the auditor's report on the last page, you don't have to do that if you spent under $10,000. And most of the candidates I've seen come forward so far haven't spent over 10,000. So really, that's just another way of saying, you know, if you don't know your filing date, if you need that certificate of maximum campaign contributions and expenses, I'm happy to help you with that. And if there are specific questions about any of those lines or where you put something on that form, I'm happy to help. And yeah, maybe I'll just, again, as Leanne said, open it up to the floor. All those participating, are there any questions? And if not, basically, I can kind of talk about the process going forward. So after this, we will post this video online for anyone who couldn't make the meeting tonight or wants a refresher. As Leanne said, financial statements are due March 31st by 2 p.m. Filing is in person. They can't be dropped off in a Dropbox or emailed. It's in-person paper filing. And then after that, once I get all those financial statements together, I do have to do a review. If anyone's got a letter from me, or if anyone's filed already and got a letter from me saying I did a quick preliminary review, that was just so I could refund your nomination filing fee. We'll do a more thorough review. And then these financial statements are posted online. It's a public document, and the public, you know, may be asking questions about it, and you know, you can answer those if you want, or you may get some requests from the media. So these will be online. What I will do for all candidates is I'll email you a link to our website when they do go out, so you can see that yours is up there, and you'll kind of get a bit of an advance warning before you may get any questions from the public or the media. Unless there's anything we're missing, and unless anyone wants to jump up for additional questions, I can stop the recording and we can have an early night. Well, seeing none, I'll just say thanks everyone for watching this video. Thanks very much to Leanne, our election coordinator. She was very helpful in the election, and she will be helpful going forward, helping us review those financial statements. Anyways, thanks for participating, everyone.